Hello everyone, you are welcome to another video. In today's video we want to look at the fundamental concepts of sorting in Microsoft Excel. So this particular video will give you more like a preview into how sorting works using Excel. We shall be working with the original online retail data. So if you look at this particular data sets, when we talk about sorting, we are referring to how you arrange the record of data, okay, based on the column. Based on the column, the data has been sorted using invoice number. If I am to sort this same data using the description column, and the record is starting with C, that means I'll be depending on the dynamics I choose to use, whether from A to Z or Z to A, this particular record will no longer be in the fourth row. It will change. So also, if I decide to use the quantity column in sorting the data, and the quantity of this record is 8, it will no longer be in this fourth position any longer, so it will change. So that is how sorting works. So sorting helps you to arrange record of data based on the column. Okay, so there are certain things you must keep tabs with anytime you want to sort. The first one is the fact that you must recognize how big the data is, okay, or how big the list is. There are certain times you can come across data and you need to check the length, the breadth, everything about the data. And when I talk about the length and the breadth, you scroll down here. Can you see? So we have an hidden record of data which is not visible in this way. But because you were able to scroll to the right, you see, okay, there's another data that is here. So also, you want to scroll down to the very end to ensure that you get to the end of the data. You see the last record. So there's a shortcut for that. If you click on any cell, so you can use the control and end. If you click on control end, it will take you to the very last cell, okay, beyond which there is no data. Beyond this particular cell, there is no data downward, and then there is no data to the right. If you check, this is column X. If I scroll up, can you see there is no data beyond column X? So that is how it works. So you have to ensure that you recognize how big the list is, the number of columns you are dealing with, the number of rows you are dealing with, and you need to also know if there are other data within the same sheet. Then the next thing you check for is empty row within the column. Now there are certain instances you may be working in with a list, and sometimes you start working, and because you were not diligent enough to check through, those empty rows begin to affect your result. So the first thing you want to check for is the the empty rows. Now you can do that by double clicking the down edge this way. It will take you to the cell before the empty row. Can you see? So there's an empty row here. Now when I double click this, it will take us to another cell before the empty row, so you can see. So obviously in this particular column there are empty records, so you want to take note of that before you sort the data. If I double click it this way, okay, so there are no empty records in this particular column. If I also do the same here, there are no empty records. And then I do the same here, there are no empty records. So that is how it works. So you check for empty records within the column. Now the last thing you want to do is to check for empty rows within the list. You check for empty rows within the list. Now there are several times also you may have a data set, and it is very important for you to go through it thoroughly and ensure that there are no empty rows. Empty rows can actually affect your sorting results. Okay, it can affect your sorting result. Let's take for instance, okay, if you want to check for that first, you Control A. Control A is going to copy it's going to highlight everything. Then you use the Control period to go round the entire data. Control period once again. Control period again. Okay, can you see how the active cell is moving around? Now, then Control period. So that means there are no empty rows. There are no empty rows within the list. Now, let's say we come down here. Let's say for instance this particular one, we insert new row. Now watch, if this is row 110. If I go up, now we can't see the row 110 in this pane right now. We cannot see it on the screen right now. So for us to see the importance of knowing or having knowledge of empty rows in the list, if I use Control A, can you see? Control A will only cover entire data that is different from the other data. Can you see that now? So it will not cover up the whole data because of the presence of this empty row. So you want to take note of that. Empty rows can affect your sorting results. So this is what you check out for. You do this once in a while. Control A, Control period, as many times as you click, so that you can get heads up on the empty row. So we want to delete this. These are very important parameters that you check out for anytime you want to sort. So now we are ready to sort. When you want to sort, you can come to the sort and filter pane over here in the home ribbon. When you click on it, it allows you to sort smallest to largest, largest to, depending on the column. Now you can also sort when you come to the data ribbon. Then you have the sort option down here. You click on it. Okay, can you see? So I'm going to first of all Control A, and then when I sort, you have this dialog box. So this is how the dialog box shows up whenever you are sorting. And you want to ensure that my data has headers. This is checked. Okay, this is checked. if you don't check this box, Excel is going to assume the first row of data to be a normal data. Sometimes you can come across data that don't have headers, but that could be very rare. But then you always want to check this. Okay, if you don't check it, can you see? So if Excel is sorting out the data, description, Excel will take description to be part of the record, and if it is sorting the description, that means description itself will go down to a particular row of data. So we want to check that. There are certain instances also, let me cancel this, that you may have let's say the name of the company and the address of the company and other important information that are laid out in this first row. Anytime you want to sort, Excel is not going to capture that particular information. Okay, it's not going to capture it. And it is always good for you to leave at least an empty cell between the company's information that is up here and the data itself. Okay, an empty row. Also, when you have another data within the same sheet, it is always good to have at least two empty rows. Okay, two empty rows separating one data from the other data before you sort. For instance, you can see this is an entire data itself. If let's say I am to move this down here, okay, and I sort, Excel is going to assume this particular data to be part of this data, and it will sort all of them together. So, and you wouldn't want that. So you want to ensure that at least it is two columns apart from one another. So we would close this up. You will now come to the sort option once again, and you try and ensure before sorting that your title, okay, the column headers are in one row. They are in one row. There are certain instances where you may be working and maybe working with column headers that are very long. You want to ensure that you use the wrap text to wrap such column headers. Okay, so let's take, for instance, I want to rename this. Okay, I say maybe something of quantity of purchased product. Okay, so sorry please. So quantity of purchased product, you can see, is just by itself. You cannot see what the other text is. So you can either double click this way, okay, to show you to leave it on one row, or you can use the Alt and enter. You can see that, and then you delete this space. So that is how you have wrapped the text. You can make it to be in the middle, you can make it this way, or you can make it this way. So that is how you keep it in a single row. So another very important aspect, you want to take notes of how you set the page break. Now you can decide to increase the length of this row. Once you increase it this way, So this can serve as a page break. Yeah, someone looking at this may assume, okay, maybe there is another empty row here. No, it is not an empty row. And for you to confirm that it's not an empty row, when you Control A, can you see, and then control period, control period, okay, just a second, control A, control period, okay, control period, control period. So you can see that. So the page break I inserted in row 51 did not come out as an empty row. So these are some of the things you need to put in place, and which will ensure that you have a successful sorting of the data. So let's come back to the sorting dialog box. Okay, let me do this control here. And then if we are sorting, you can sort the values based on the different columns that you have. Okay, in this instance, we want to use the description. And then there are certain parameters you can use: the cell values, the cell colors, the font colors, conditional formatting icon. All these I'm going to be taking in the series in the upcoming videos. And depending on the parameter you use, if you are dealing with value, it's going to be from smallest to largest. If you are dealing with text, it is going to be from A to Z. So description, because it is text, it is A to Z. Now if for instance we are dealing with dates, okay, it will be from oldest to newest, newest to oldest, and then you can also use your own custom list. But then when we are dealing with quantity, you can see smallest to largest, largest to smallest, custom list as the case may be. So that is how you are able to do your sorting. So in the next video, we shall look at how to sort using cell colors.